My very first plant-based holiday, the main course was meatballs. Vegan balls of meat. What an oxymoron. I was pretty unhappy. I mean, the meatballs were great, but there was just something missing. And when trying to explore those feelings I was having, it was pretty difficult to uncover. So, in my head, I'm just going through the checklist. Atmosphere is great, check. Family is all here, check. The food, there was plenty of options, so check. So what was it? I get overwhelmed with this sense of loneliness as I realize everyone's plate looks completely different from mine, but similar to each other. I mean, this is family. This is the closest people to me, with none of the food I made on their plate. From the beginning, the food is what brought us together. And here I am, this rogue family member, just destroying traditions. It probably wasn't that dramatic, but I'm pretty tough on myself sometimes. And in my head, that's what was happening. You know what? Let me get back to that. With this dish, I wanted to share something that would benefit those folks who are traveling, or even those folks who don't really care for anything extravagant, just want the day-to-day something in front of them on that day. And the folks who may be working on the holiday and would still like just the essence of a home-cooked meal when they go to have their, lunch. So basically, this dish packs up well and it tastes great even after being reheated. For our meatballs, we're using TVP, but it could be swapped for another similar protein source. I'm using TVP because it's made up of one ingredient and it's high in protein. But not only that, it does a great job just mimicking a meat crumble. You could swap this with like a pea protein crumble or even like a store brand favorite and have a really good success. And if you're doing those substitutions because you are soy free, don't forget to swap the soy sauce with coconut aminos or another similar soy free product. When making this, I intended to use oat flour and just completely forgot and ended up using whole oats instead. Now that creates an issue that hinders the binding of trying to form your balls. Your circles that are round opposed to your circles that are square. Yeah. Oat flour, on the other hand, being that it's in smaller particles, it does a better job absorbing the moisture and binding together, which brings me to one of the main issues people have when making meatballs. If you find your mixture isn't binding together well, it's either that the mixture is too dry or it's too wet. If it's too dry, add a tablespoon of liquid in this case, that would be vegetable stock, and then try again. If it's too wet, then I usually like to go with a little bit more flour, somewhere between a teaspoon or a tablespoon, until again, it comes together. You could also easily make this recipe gluten-free if you go with gluten-free breadcrumbs. I personally actually like to use the gluten-free breadcrumbs more because they just are crispier. Along with this recipe, I use mashed potatoes. Sometimes I swap that for brown rice or even steamed or roasted broccoli as an easier alternative to just bring a quick meal to the table. But what I never skip on in this case is making gravy. It's simple with ingredients, it comes together fairly quickly, and can literally completely change the dynamic of whatever you're tasting. Again here, I used all-purpose flour, but gluten-free flour works very good in here as well. I've used chickpea flour, oat flour, almond flour, gluten-free flour blend. I mean, I've used them all and still comes out perfect. Although this recipe is easy, the most important thing is you want to make sure you're whisking your flour well when adding in the water, or vegetable stock in this case. Don't add water. Flavors would just, that whisking is gonna help you avoid any clumps, but not only that, it's gonna give you a good, thick, and just even gravy. Okay, so I wanna get back to that experience that I was talking about earlier. So I'm sitting there with my plate, and I remember trying to talk to myself to overcome those feelings of being alone. So then I hear, it's my mom. She says, "Poppy, are you sure this is vegan?" While grasping tightly and inspecting this meatball that she just took a bite of. Later, she's marching out with, a good set of meatballs just hanging on the side of her plate. Within seconds comes this domino effect of confessions and people getting up to introduce now this plant-based main course to their plate. Over here, hey, I tried that and it was actually good. I'm gonna get some. Over there, I did too. Can you get me a few? A little further down, hey, is there any left? I didn't know if anybody else was eating them. At that point, I was moved. It was the irony of being vulnerable and externally presenting alone this meatless meal, while everyone else seems completely together, but internally alone, waiting for someone else to make that first, hey guys, I want to try that vegan food move. I learned a lot that day. Biggest thing is that my Thanksgiving doesn't have to look like yours. If you're dieting differently this year, whether it's by choice or for health reasons, just remember, you're not alone. You have me, you have this amazing Nard Dog community, and we all have each other. And for that, I am so thankful. Be strong, be humble, be grateful. Believe in good. Peace.